Welcome to the channel Masters of Consciousness. This is a space where we dive into the deepest mysteries of existence, into the wisdom that touches the heart and soul, into questions that have stirred the human spirit for thousands of years. Today, we'll explore one of the greatest questions a human being can ask. What is the meaning of life? We won't answer this question superficially, because the question itself is not shallow. It is not a question you ask in passing. It comes from within, when everything else stops being enough, when the external things, success, relationships, possessions, no longer satisfy as they once did. Then silence arrives, and in that silence, an echo emerges. Why am I here? What is all this for? Is there a deeper meaning to it? And this question is not a weakness. It is strength. Only someone truly courageous can look into that void and not run, because the meaning of life isn't something you can buy, achieve, or win. The meaning of life is not a reward. It's something that reveals itself when you start seeing with your heart. And though many masters have spoken in many different words, one message echoes through the ages. The meaning of life is not outside of you. It is within you, in your very existence, in the sheer awareness that you are. The meaning of life is not something to be grasped by the intellect. It's something you begin to feel when you allow yourself to be truly present. Many people seek the meaning of life in a goal, a specific mission, a calling, a purpose. But before you reach that, you must first feel that life itself has meaning, without conditions, without achievements, without comparison. Meaning doesn't always come as an answer. Sometimes it comes as a question that no longer demands, but instead illuminates your soul. Because maybe the meaning of life is not something to discover like a hidden treasure. Maybe the meaning of life is something you create, something you shape from each moment, each breath, each connection, each encounter. Maybe life has meaning when you are fully yourself, when you don't pretend, when you don't live to please the world, but to be in truth with yourself. Life is not a task to complete. It's not a race. Life is a gift, mysterious, deep, unpredictable. And perhaps that mystery is where the meaning lies, that you don't need to understand everything to be deeply present in it. Just as you don't need to understand a melody to feel it move you. Just as you don't need to know where the path leads to know that it's worth walking. Sometimes the meaning of life appears in simple moments, in a child's gaze, in the scent of a forest after rain, in the touch of a hand that holds you when you feel like falling apart, in a tear running down your cheek because something inside you stirred. The meaning of life doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes quietly, like a whisper, like a gentle presence saying, "I'm with you. You don't have to rush. You don't have to be someone else. It is enough that you are." Stop for a moment, really. Close your eyes and feel you are. Isn't that already a miracle? Existence itself, the awareness that you are alive, that you can feel, it's something we miss when we're too busy seeking answers. Yet it's precisely there, in the experience of the moment, that the depth reveals itself. Because life doesn't happen in the past or the future. It's happening now, in this second. And maybe the meaning of life is not a place you have to reach, but a space you have to begin to feel. As presence that doesn't judge, doesn't divide, doesn't demand. Love that simply sees, deeply, truthfully, to the very core. And when you see in that way, you begin to perceive yourself, others, life, not through the lens of lack, but through the lens of wholeness. Because maybe the meaning of life is not about acquiring something, but realizing that you already are what you're searching for. Some people find the meaning of life in service to others, in helping, supporting, being a light for someone drowning in darkness. Others find it in creativity, in expressing themselves through art, words, action. Still others, in silence, in prayer, in being part of something greater than the self. Each of these paths is real, if it flows from the heart. because meaning is not the same for everyone. It is alive, changing, breathing with you. It can change during your life. It might be different when you're 20 and different when you're 50. But its presence, the fact that it exists, is unchanging. When you touch it, even for a moment, you know that nothing more is needed. And though it's not always easy, though there are days when you see no purpose, when everything feels like chaos, when your heart aches, it is in that darkness that light may be born. Because life is not only joy and fulfillment, it is also pain, fear, confusion, but all of it is part of the whole. And it is that fullness, the ability to experience everything, that makes life meaningful, that makes it whole, that makes it real. When you try to understand the meaning of life, the temptation may be to search for answers outside, in philosophy, religion, science, other people's opinions. And all of that can be helpful, can point you in directions, can inspire. But none of those external forms can replace your own personal experience of being. Because the meaning of life is not a theory. It's not an idea. It's something you feel in your bones, in your soul, in those quiet morning moments when no one is watching. It's something that rises when you are alone with yourself, with no masks, no roles, no expectations. Life becomes deep when you stop pretending, when you drop the weight of, I have to matter, I have to succeed, I have to be someone. You don't, because you already are. You are part of something greater. You are awareness. You are presence that feels, loves, and experiences. And maybe here lies the key. The meaning of life isn't to constantly fix something in yourself or in the world. Maybe the meaning of life is to immerse fully in its rhythm, with all its beauty and chaos. You don't need to have the answers to live deeply. You don't need a plan to move forward. Sometimes one breath is enough, one decision to be present here and now, one glance inside without running, because the meaning of life begins where running ends. When you stop seeking the way out and turn inward and ask, what is truly here? Who am I without the layers, without the story, without the role? And then you begin to hear, not with the voice of the mind, but the voice of the heart, a whisper that says, you are part of the miracle. Even if you don't see it, even if you don't believe it, you are part of the miracle. In this deep awareness, something extraordinary arises. Peace. Not the fleeting, shallow peace that vanishes with the first challenge, but the deep, quiet peace that says, everything is exactly as it needs to be. That peace doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't exclude action, change, or passion. Quite the opposite. It gives you the strength to act not out of fear, but out of love. To create not because you must, but because you want to share yourself with the world. When you begin to live in tune with that deep inner sense of meaning, the world changes. Not on the outside. First within you. You start to see beauty where there was once routine. You begin to appreciate people, even if they're different from you. You start to see that every person carries within them the same question. What is the meaning? And then you no longer feel so alone, because in this shared journey, in this shared seeking, lies the answer. You are not alone. And maybe this is the deepest meaning of life. Connection, relationship, the fact that we are with one another, that we see each other, that our lives intertwine in countless ways we may never understand. Maybe we are mirrors for each other, reflecting truth when we forget who we are. Maybe everyone we meet appears for a reason, to remind us, to move us, to awaken something in us we wouldn't see on our own. Because even though the journey to meaning is personal, we don't have to walk it alone. We are in this together, even if we follow different paths. So instead of searching for a single answer, allow yourself to have many, and to have none at all. Because life is not a riddle to solve, it is a mystery to live. And when you stop fighting the fact that you don't know, that you don't control, that you don't understand, something greater than certainty arises. Trust in yourself, in life, in the idea that what is happening to you has meaning, even if your mind can't yet grasp it. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be easy to be beautiful. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come when everything falls apart, because when something ends, something real can begin. The meaning of life is not a prize at the end of the path. It's in every step, in every tear, in every silent moment, in every smile that arises for no reason, in simplicity, in presence, in being. If today you feel like you don't know why you're alive, it doesn't mean there's no meaning. It may mean you're finally starting to seek it truly, and that is a sacred moment. That is the beginning. Allow yourself not to know. Allow yourself to feel, and don't be afraid of the silence. In it are the answers that words can't reach, because the meaning of life may not be something to explain, but it can be lived. And every day is an invitation to step just a little closer. Thank you for being with me today, for taking this time to meet yourself. This wasn't just a video. This was a shared immersion in a depth beyond words. If this message stirred something in you, leave a trace.
Like this video, comment, share your reflections. Subscribe to the Masters of Consciousness channel if you feel called to continue this journey of discovering truth with us.
And if you feel someone else is also searching, send them this video. Let this spark travel further, because when we share the light, the world becomes brighter. With love, with presence, with gratitude. See you in the next episode.